know it's Captain P. Billy on the Billionaire Pod. So right now we're gonna start the engine. We'll just start the engine. David is here, my co-captain, right? So we're having a little fun before we jump on the pod with Larren Peart, the big man from Blue Dot. Larren Peart is a major figure in the data collection industry. He's a major figure in AI. He's just major, the big man, right? So stay tuned for the pod. Be sure to like, share, subscribe. Be sure to comment and let me know the best part of the pod that you like. And be sure to let me know who you want to see on the pod next. Y'all know the vibe, super blessed, super rich. Be sure to subscribe. Welcome to the Billionaire Podcast. Today we're here with David Nunes, Khalil, Willis, Pajama Billionaire, Chavez Allen. We all know me as Pajama. And then we're here with Larren Peart. Alright, so Larren Peart is the CEO of Blue Dot Insights and Data Research. And we're going to be speaking to him about his journey, his accomplishments. We're using this platform as a platform where any person that wants to actually make it within a specific field can come to these discussions and find inspiration and use it as a guide for their success as well, right? So, Larren Peart, thanks for being on the Billionaire Podcast.
Yeah, man, thank you for having me.
What we would like to know is, we want to know everything from the beginning, right? So, what inspired you to go into the field of technological data and things like that? What inspired you to say, I think that starting a data company is the way I'm going to go about this successful life.
Okay. All right. So thanks for that question. So I used to work for a company called AIS, Advanced Integrated Systems Limited, and AIS processes health insurance claims. So every time you swipe your health insurance card, your surgical or medical card, they process those transactions at a pharmacy. Meaning they're the real, one of the first real make money while you sleep businesses. Yeah. So you get a percentage off of every transaction in a pharmacy. Right? So I was in IT there, and I remember several times being in the server room and looking at transactions coming in, and I would see, for example, like flu medication being dispensed in Ocheries, right? And I would know that just by looking at those transactions, it would take another a week to 2 weeks before I'd start to see flu medications being dispensed in Montego Bay. And I'm from Mobay. So I'd always call my father and say, Pops, stock up on vitamin C because I know the flu soon reach Mobay. And that's when I was like, if you have access to data, the things that you can predict with it. Imagine if the government had access to this type of data, they could, from a preventative medicine standpoint, shore up the defenses in Montego Bay because they would know that the flu was going to get there just by looking at transactional data. And that's when I was like, this data thing obviously have some potential and there's nobody else doing it. And that's essentially really why I started Blue Dot.
All right, so in terms of before you started and before you had access to being in a pharmacy where you were exposed to that information, what was your upbringing like, your education, all of that?
All right, so I grew up in Mobay. Grew up in Mobay, lower middle income. Went to the greatest all-boys school in the Western Hemisphere. I know everybody knows what that is. So I don't have to even say it. Everybody knows. But yeah, I went to Monroe. So did that, left school, and when I left, both my parents lost their jobs, so I couldn't go to university, so I had to start working. Yeah. And that's when I started working in Kingston. So I applied for a job and got the job at AIS, and I spent quite a bit of time there. And, in short, that's
your upbringing. So in terms of because all of the people would, for example, start working at a job and they would stay for years and not do anything outside of that because that is the part that they started on and they decided to finish on. What really inspired you to move off of that path?
So in Mobay, I'd have a little sound system in my bedroom, and we used to put on parties and things.
Yeah.
And then of course at school we used to sell sweets and snacks and whatever.
I know that.
And yeah, them used to call me bucket police at school.
The money police.
I used to collect the bucket of them and sell them.
Yeah.
But what really pushed me to leave the job and to like really seek entrepreneurship is that so them time that I was like broke, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, long story short, I used to drink a lot of cups of Milo from the office every day. I couldn't afford lunch, right? And so I was drinking like 8 cups of Milo, right? And the office attendant, she reported me to the chief financial officer, right? And they called me into a meeting and said, you know, the Milo is communalist for everybody. Right? And you know, it's like them almost did want, like the CFO did rile me about it, right? And I was like, yo, this is not the way to live, you know. And I said, I decided, and that was one. 2 was that when you're employed, the one thing you look forward to every year is bonus.
Yeah, bonus.
Christmas bonus, right? And Christmas bonus time came around and like I bust my ass the whole year. I never took vacation at that place, right? So I bust my ass for the whole year. And because I became a manager, I was entitled to 4 weeks of bonus plus regular pay. And I only got 1 week, and it like really demotivated me, right? Yeah. And at the time I was reading 48 Laws of Power, and there's one of the laws I don't remember, but it essentially saying if you dine at another man's table, you depend on him for a month, right? Or something like that. And then so I promised myself that, you know, another Christmas wasn't going to come and catch me at working for somebody else. But it took me 9 months, so this was December, January, it took me between January and September to just save up 3 months worth of rent, right? And I remember when I was quitting, when I printed off the resignation letter, I was walking upstairs to my boss's office, like, I just started bawling because there's just so much anxiety, like I don't know what I'm going to have. No, I can't fall back on my parents, I can't, you know, like I don't have no safety net. But yeah, I mean, I resigned and, you know, I started Blue Dot on the side before, so I kind of like have a look at one client. Yeah. But I have to say that the company that I was at, I respect them 150%. You know, they took somebody without a degree. Yeah. They promoted me. I was making a living there. And then now that I own my own company, I understand why, you know, if somebody asks you for a salary increase and them say, oh, you only get like a 10 or 20,000. With statutories, that $20,000 increase is actually 30 or 40 or 50 or $1,000 because the company pays taxes on that. So you can't just give somebody an increase just because I'm asking for one. You know, like there's other liabilities that come with it, and just a bigger picture. So, you know, knowing what I know now, and even then, like I grew up in that company. I started working there at 17, and I owe them a lot.
How long were you there?
13 years.
Yeah, that's decent, man.
Yeah.
So in starting, right, in putting all your hopes in yourself, all the belief in yourself, and resigning from that company. What would you say were some of the biggest challenges you faced when starting and taking on Blue Dot as your sole purpose?
All right, good question. So, networking. So I never knew any, even though I was in Kingston at that time. So I moved from Mobile. I was in Kingston for 13 years at the time. I wasn't very well networked, and you know, in my business, companies pay us to give them the data that they use to make very important business decisions. So as a lucky youth with no name, you know, never got Camden or JC here in town, or George's, right?
You
know, never had those connections. So, you know, I had to become very intentional about building the Blue Dot brand. Yeah. So, you know, I would just do little things like if I went to Larren's or some restaurant to buy food, instead of giving them like my name, I'd say Blue Dot, and like people would be, so when they're calling out the order, they'll be calling out blue dot, and sometimes I'm going like I don't hear, right? Just so they just them repeat it.
So
Like,
people can hear.
just like little things like that. And like I used to hang out at CPJ and nurse. I want food for the whole day because I know that at CPJ at some point in time somebody who I wanted to meet
was going to be there
because that was like a popular little lunch spot for corporate and business people. You know, so I used to just hang out there and muster up the courage to go and approach them and give them a go one pitch.
So because we met I actually met him at Tech Beach Retreat, and the thing is, we had a very short conversation, but Tech Beach is an event that we have to pay to go. I had to pay to go, and it's an environment where you have so many people who are doing extremely well, and I was able to actually meet him just for a short period of time, yes, but now we're on a podcast, right? So what do you? Well, a lot of people, I see a lot of people would say they would not pay for mentorship or they would not pay to be in the same room as other people. Like, why would I pay to be in a room with somebody else? So what advice would you give to those persons, or what would you say to them in terms of them building their network or them building up to being a person where is recognized and known in society?
So one of my, I guess you could call it a philosophy is that I never pass up on an opportunity to meet anybody.
Yeah.
Right? Like even doing this podcast, my going to get cussing from my staff because they're like waiting on me, right? But I never pass up on an opportunity to meet people and to build a brand and expose a brand and do any type of PR, because you just never know when some connection that you make when come back.
Yeah.
Right? And just just being good and humble and being kind to people, it goes a long way.
Yeah.
So I mean, to answer your question more specifically about mentorship, I think when you're choosing a mentor, you're trying to find a mentor, you have to ensure that that person actually is even aligned with your belief system or your your vision, right?
Yeah.
Because you can have mentors who, like in my case, I've had a few mentors, unfortunately, who they just didn't understand my space. So therefore, the advice that they were giving it wasn't practical because they couldn't see beyond, or see where I wanted to go. But mentorship is extremely important. I'm also a big believer in, I think what it's called, reverse mentorship. So, which is, you engage an older person. That older person may not be necessarily all fair or familiar with your space. So as much as they're teaching you, you're teaching them as well, and offering that type of value to somebody who you're approaching. I think it becomes a win-win formula, and it's a much better relationship at that point in time.
All right. So in terms of on the same topic of mentorship, but we're speaking more specifically to education. So you within your field, you said earlier that, or we were having a discussion that you don't have a degree, right? So for a person who doesn't have a degree, because most persons can't really afford it at the moment, and they would get demotivated about starting a business and feel like the need to have a degree, or they need to have some type of qualification. Yeah, because society is saying that you need to have a degree, right? Yeah. So what are you saying about that?
So I mean, of course, I would have a bias, right? I don't have a degree, not by choice, because of circumstance. Right? So I think if at the time, if I could have afforded it, I definitely would have gone and gotten a degree. But do I have any regrets right now? No. I used to be very insecure about it, to be honest. People assume that you have a degree, and then like the first question is, so which you take away with right? So I used to be insecure about it, but obviously not anymore. And the key really is to just hire bright people. Yeah. There's a famous. I
say Elon Musk do it as well. So.
Yeah. You just have to hire. I mean, we have PhDs on the team and all that.
Bachelors, masters.
Yeah, whole heap of people, isn't it? There's a famous story about Henry Ford when they were trying him for, I think it was some antitrust suit in court, and one of the lawyers asked him, how can you run this big company, right? And paraphrasing him said, well, on my desk I have this console, and when I want a lawyer, I touch this button and a lawyer comes in, and when I want a finance man, I touch this button and a finance man comes in, right?
Yeah.
So
you do a lot of outsourcing of the right people to work with.
yeah. You just have to just hire the right people. There are some disadvantages, right? So if I did an MBA, maybe I'd have been more adept at doing deals, right?
Yeah.
Or structuring deals and understanding certain economic principles and whatnot. So it is a deficiency, but in 2023, in this day and time, there's definitely a YouTube video on it somewhere. There's a Udemy course, there's a Coursera course, something,
Yeah. So what has been some of the major accomplishments that you've achieved, and the challenges that came with achieving them?
My greatest accomplishment is just surviving, bro.
Surviving,
Yeah.
being
So
a business.
surviving.
Being
business
attacked
and-
as a business person.
yeah.
It's a constant battle.
That's-
What would you say was like your breakthrough moment when you could look back at it and say, so this is a turning point for me. This is where Blue Dot really going to become something. What was your first like breakthrough moment like that?
Again, I mean, I'll answer you, but every month that I make payroll is a breakthrough.
Yeah. That's
So,
true.
like,
That is so true.
Payroll is the biggest stress,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And cash flow is always not always, but you don't know stress until you can make payroll, in my opinion. Because I commit to my staff. I say, I'm hiring you. You have your kids and your mom, whatever. I'm going to ensure that you get paid.
Winners eat last. There's a book on that. Winners eat last.
That's so true.
Several months I've gone without paying myself.
Yeah.
If you follow me on Instagram long enough, you'd see where I pawn my car, I pawn my fridge. There's a little pawn shop on Eastwood Park Road named Good as New. Big up Good as New. Yeah man, everything, car, fridge, stove, everything just to meet payroll, right?
This guy.
We go hungry.
Yeah.
Just so that my kid, I just don't know how to look on my staff and say,
You can't afford it.
sorry.
You can't afford it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is it you that handles the payroll, or you have a team that does that?
No, so we have a proper structure now, thank God. Cash flow is a little better, praise God. So yeah, I don't have to handle that specifically, but like payroll just come around so quick.
It's like as it goes.
You only have 20 days to make payroll.
Yeah.
In four or 5 days, weeks to make payroll from one payroll to the next. So you have to go out there and hustle and get receivables in time to make it by the 24th, so that to process payroll so that people can get it on the 25th.
Okay, so in terms of coming up with that structure, because a lot of persons are starting businesses and they don't necessarily have the right structure, and then as a business person how much it had cost you over the years in terms of time and money for you to actually be doing certain things yourself, and for you to actually be trying and figuring stuff out. So what was the process like for yourself in terms of doing that, in terms of finding the right people to actually be a part of your team, a part of your board? What was that process like?
It's still a process. Every day is a process. Like we're suffering from not putting in systems and processes in place.
Yeah.
So what I mean is that we're growing so much now that because we haven't systemized prior to now, it's almost like we're growing on shaky foundation almost, right? So now I'm going through a whole business process transformation exercise where we're optimizing everything and creating like standard operating procedures for everything that we do and whatnot. But again, to your question, it will come in time. And you just focus on what you need to focus on this given day, especially when you're starting up and you're bootstrapping, and I hear schools have entrepreneurship courses, and like it puzzles me because man say, how can you teach entrepreneurship?
Exactly.
Is impossible. I just don't understand it. You know, there is nothing that you can read in a book or go to a class that will ever prepare you for what is
For the world. You have to be in the field and you have to be grinding and going through those battles.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I'm a believer in going through the battles as well. Although my battles kind of
certain things have to reach if a teacher without it reach. You know, lose, you'll get a lesson.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, man. So in terms of David now, as I was telling you earlier, David has been the one that is a part of my guidance in terms of, you know, corporate structure, and Patrice is as well, and I have a few lawyers that I've actually gotten on my team and all of that, to actually do that. And we were speaking about networking earlier as well, and I see you even networking with the Prime Minister now, where you're able to actually give them advice to certain things or provide the data for them. So what has that experience been like? Because I know my experience with David and the people that I know currently, and they've managed to actually help me reach a certain level in my personal life and business. So what has that been in terms of the people that you've met, in terms of your network, in terms of being able to like the Prime Minister is listening to you, or heads of government is listening to you right now. So what has that experience been like, and how did they get there?
I just have to add value. So
add value.
So I took a risk in doing political polls, right? So when we like I said, I've always tried to, like I'm always thinking, all right, how can I get the brand out there so that when I go into a room, I don't have to really introduce myself, or at least if I call it, if I say Blue Dot, people are like, oh, okay, Blue Dot, right?
Yeah.
And doing political polls was that avenue for Blue Dot, where it really, I guess you asked about the turning point. Maybe that, that's when the brand like really got out there, because people were...
When you started to do the polls, the brand really got out there?
Yeah, political polls. Because now it was on all across media, and it just so happened that we were the most accurate, and we predicted it properly. And
how long has that been?
That was the first poll I did, was the by-election in East Portland in 2019. Between Anne-Marie Valls and Damon Crawford. Yeah.
Okay, and you were able to actually predict who was going to win?
Yeah. Down to
a set percentage. That's amazing.
And that was aided by like the data, like the fact of you being a data company.
Yeah. So it's what we use in that election was a technology called is neuroscience, right? Kind of complex, but essentially we measure reaction times. So if I said to you, Chavez, to slap my right hand as quick as I can, if I said Coca-Cola is sweet, if subconsciously you associate Coca-Cola being sweet, then you're going to hit my right hand really quickly, right? Because subconsciously you already believe that. But if you have to think about it, is Coca-Cola sweet, then there's going to be a delay in how quickly you slap my right hand.
Yeah. So
we use that. That's how we determine how somebody on a gut level or implicitly thinks about a brand or a client, or in this case a political candidate. Because people will tell you that they like this politician, but they don't really like him.
Yeah.
Right? Just because they're explicitly telling you doesn't mean that they actually do. So I mean, that's a whole complex part of what we do at Blue Dot, but that's why we're so accurate with our polls, because we really dig deeper into actual human intent and behavior.
So you actually go out and you do surveys, and what is the process like for you?
For polls, so we use the census data. So for example, if the census data says that 20% of the population of Jamaica comes from Kingston, then if we have a total sample of 1,200 people, then we collect 20% of that 1,200 in Kingston, and then we break that down further by constituency, and then down to electoral division and polling division. So it gets very granular at some point in time, and then that's why we can know that the opinions of these people are represented in this overall poll.
So is this a lot of manual work, or you have like softwares implemented for the process?
It's all tech.
All tech. So in terms of, you've been hearing about like ChatGPT, you've been hearing about AI. We've all been hearing about that, and we use it. So do you guys utilize AI for the items the things that you do?
Yeah, we use a lot of AI, especially now we're developing some very cool AI solutions. with ChatGPT and some other tech that is really going to revolutionize how we deliver our services, increase our productivity, like all the good stuff. But since you brought up AI, on Twitter I've been trying to get the message out there that we should be more fearful
Of AI. Why? Why do you think that though?
Bro, I mean, not to sound like a tinfoil man, David laughing, but not to sound like one of them tin hat guys, but I feel like we're at the beginning stages of the Matrix.
The Matrix.
Yeah.
I thought we were already in the Matrix though. Like a level 3 Matrix.
We're at the point where even by the end of this year, our life is going to be completely different than it is now. Or maybe the Matrix is extreme, but I think there's so much possible destruction and economic destruction that's going to happen because there's a lot of bad people in the world who will use AI to do bad things, and there's no guardrails and no regulations and there's nothing to govern it, right? So that's one. And then two, from a Jamaica standpoint, like my guys built some chatbots the other day that I know we could just wipe out a BPO right now.
Yeah.
Like the conversational AI and the chatbots that we have now.
So you're talking about like jobs, like people can lose their jobs and stuff.
Yeah, jobs. And BPO is very important to Jamaica, right? And like we what we can do with chatbots now that there's a model, there's a AI model called Whisper that is text to speech that and vice versa that it will answer and speak to you and you won't even know
that it's not a human. Oh, that's I see them doing it with for example Kanye West's voice or Elon Musk's voice. And I see that did something with Will Smith the other day where they typed in a chat and it basically provided a video of Will Smith eating soup.
Yeah.
And that was just a prompt that somebody did and got that.
And it's still very, very early days. So if I think about like on a timeline, right?
Yeah.
I think we're in minute 1 of the revolution, and with just so much has happened in the last couple months that it's crazy when you try to wrap your head around it.
So let me ask you a question. This is kind of off the table. You ever watched that Will Smith movie? Where the iRobots, you feel like we'll ever reach that point?
I think we're very close to it.
Like when you say close, because you're the data man, it's like a year. Because I want to prepare.
Honestly, it's scary to think about.
Honestly, I think here's what the problem is, right? The problem is that every little developer now all over the world, because of capitalism and commercial greed, is trying to outbuild the next man. They're trying to build the next best thing with AI. So, like I'm trying to build the next best thing with AI right now. And because of that, they call it a recursive loop of innovation where things are just it's happening so fast and innovating so quickly, and that I think we're screwed, honestly. But
that's already at the point of no return where that is considered.
Because Pandora's box open already. You can't stop it.
We need to work with AI and not against AI.
So
too late.
So people are going to make money. I'm trying to make as much money from it now. As much until the bombs start dropping. Right?
What if you reach a point where it's like instead of like being separate, because Elon on the Neuralink and stuff. What if you can actually enhance yourself?
No, there's going to be good, so like from an economic standpoint, right? When AI gets to the point where let me step back. So one of the fundamental contributors to the cost of goods and services is labor, right? So things cost a lot of money because it costs a lot to produce or a lot to make, whatever, right? AI is going to bring the cost of production of goods and services down so far that more people will be able to afford more things. So wealth is going to be more distributed, right? Or more because more people can afford things more because robots going to be building it or AI is going to be doing it, then people will have more spending power.
But at the same
So that's
time,
a plus.
yeah, but at the same time, wouldn't some other people be out of jobs, like factory workers? Wouldn't they be out of jobs?
Yeah. The counter argument to that though is that more other jobs would be
Are
created.
there?
Yeah.
So in the third industrial revolution, when machines came on and assembly line and whatnot, people were rioting because them say this machine is going to take over my job in the factories, right? But people found other things to do.
Yeah.
So I think that will happen to a certain extent, but anything that can be automated right now will be automated. So, copywriting, they have a robot lawyer now that's doing cases, that's winning cases better than actual lawyers.
Better than, and they have doctors as well.
Doctors is crazy, and the problem is that it's moving. First of all, Jamaica never really had digital transformation. So in COVID, when everybody was talking about the new normal and whatnot, Jamaica never had that, right? So like you still have to join line for pay your taxes, right?
Yeah, and that was annoying for me, especially I had a ticket the other day, and I had to send somebody to the court to do that. And I was like, you guys don't have a online website to do that?
Yeah, tickets.
So we're not anywhere close to even basic digital transformation. So we're definitely not ready for AI.
Yeah.
And it's moving so fast that not even first world countries can catch up with it now. Yesterday I tweeted it today that almost 2,000 of like the experts in AI signed a letter begging companies to pause.
Yeah,
Elon
because-
Musk did it as well. I saw it on Elon Musk's page.
Biden released ChatGPT 4 to the public per se, and everybody start use it and thing. The creators of ChatGPT, them didn't even give other companies a chance to one up them, because like
Google-
it was
not
2
even
weeks.
Google can catch up?
Yeah, because it was like 2 weeks after that them released ChatGPT 4, which was like 5 times better than the original that they had released.
It's crazy, and like I said, because of capitalism, we're just shooting off of the hill.
Yeah. And then yesterday I did something, like I saw one of my friends post something their story where they asked the chat like how to start a business and how to set it up in a specific location for tax benefits and all of that. And so he did that. He wasn't able to get a certain response because of the legality behind it. But then we were talking, and then we managed to find a prompt that we could have asked it to still give us the answers, even though it was not legal, quote unquote legal to it. So there's a lot of things you can.
Yeah, there's ways to go around it.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways that you can get around it, and then as you were speaking about the things that you can actually do with it might be harmful, but while it might be harmful, there's a lot of good that you can do with it as well.
For sure.
So what are some of the good that you see can come from it?
So like I said, definitely from a productivity standpoint, like the stuff that we're building now will make us 10 or 20 times more productive.
Yeah,
Right? Meaning-
because you're implementing the chat within the item.
Well,
that you're
just so what would take us 2 or 3 weeks to do, we can do it in
2 or 3 days.
2 or 3 days, literally.
Yeah.
Right now. Yeah. So that's the things that we're building now. So we'll just be exponentially more productive. My programmers tell me that they're now at the point where 70 to 80% of their code is from ChatGPT. So
I could have told me that as well. too.
Yeah,
So
they're not
it makes their
manually.
work easier,
Yeah.
a
So
lot
from
easier.
a productivity standpoint, again, for economics, people can produce more, you sell more, you make more money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, same. A developer, because I have a software company that worked on a lot of projects, and one company was telling me like 5 months to complete a project, and they were charging me $30,000, right? And then I was just researching, finding people, and then this guy, I told him the exact items that I needed, and he told me, hey, I just ran this through the chat. It's way less than what you were going to pay originally. He was charging me like $3,000 to build out an entire site, and then the chat would have helped him to with the code to build it out.
Yeah. And then do it in 10% at the time.
Yeah. So how do you see that affecting the entire industry or different industries?
So I think like with that, right? So I couldn't, maybe I could if I really tried, but like a developer, because he's a developer, knows the
Knows the
technicalities
questions
and
to
knows
ask
what
it.
to ask and knows what to, what they want. So for them, they will be, like I said, it will increase their productivity, you know, in specific fields. So like people that write copies or copywriters, you know, even lawyers, they'll know what to ask because they already have the domain expertise.
Yeah. So in your implementation, what are the questions, if you can disclose to us, you asked that basically it helped benefit you and your growth right now? It is helping you right
So
now.
I mean, I'll just give you a simple example, right? The other day I was hiring somebody and I was trying to get through to my HR consultant to write the job description for me.
Yeah, and
right?
just went.
And I never got through to her and I was like, all right, let me just try. I didn't expect it, right? I put in because it was a hybrid position, so it's not like a standard job title like project manager. Right?
Yeah.
I put in the job title and the job and like a brief in the prompt, and it spit out what I would have paid the HR consultant probably $200K to write for me in 10 seconds.
Okay.
That's crazy.
And then we're moving into the
ridiculous.
Iron Man phase where you watch Iron Man, right?
Which one?
Iron
Iron
Man.
Man.
You watch Iron Man. You never
Yeah,
watched
yeah,
Iron Man
yeah,
before?
yeah.
I was like, what?
Oh, yeah,
Honestly,
yeah,
Watch
yeah.
Iron Man.
Yeah, man.
All right. On the topic of the Iron Man touching the air,
Yeah.
the interface,
Yeah.
how far, from a data perspective, how far do you think we are off from that? From like being able to have like 3D projections of a screen of a map where you can like.
That's what metaverse is. That's what
That's what it's
Zuckerberg
Yeah.
invested so much billions of dollars in, and now because of AI, I'm have to drop it.
Why would he drop it though?
Yeah.
Because they have to compete and be relevant with OpenAI and all of those other companies. So I mean, it's on pause.
It's not
Fundamentally,
dropped.
it's not dropped,
It's
but
on pause.
yeah, AI is like the new big thing now. This whole metaverse thing kind of get to take a back seat right now.
Yeah. All right. So back on the topic of your business though, Blue Dot.
Wait, we drift off.
Yeah, but that was a good little talk still. But back on the topic of you and Blue Dot and your success. All right, you founded the company in 2015, correct?
October 2014.
October 2014. All right, and that's call it roughly 8 years.
9. We're gonna be 9 this year.
9 this year. All right. So my question is, what would you say? How are you comfortable with your level of growth? But before I say that, I want to tell you, if you can start a company and within 9 years you are like giving advice to the Prime Minister per se, you are
That's
doing
big, though.
extremely well.
That's really big.
You are doing
That's really
extremely
good.
well.
Yeah, let me back up a bit. Our data would have informed decisions that the government
Makes, yeah.
right. I'm not like sitting down with the
Yeah,
Prime
yeah,
Minister
yeah,
and be
yeah,
like, do
yeah.
this.
I know,
But you've met him.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
so-
like, you know,
so-
big. That's a big accomplishment.
And even if you never met him, it is very big because
You have something to do with him.
Yeah, you have something to do with him. You're the person that is basically telling him what to do or what to expect and how to act.
Not directly.
Not directly,
Not directly.
but
Not directly. No. We do polls, and from the poll data, I'm sure they sit down and
Analyze.
and make decisions.
But guys, you know, we're talking about the Prime Minister of the country, but the major thing of what Larren provides to the major public on a whole is mainly his influence in the commercial market. Because when we think about as consumers, because no matter what, if we say the head of our country, the government, it's always for
The consumer.
benefit a multiple, which is the consumer.
Right.
So when we're talking about specifically consumer, we're looking on brands. So that is where, you know, the influence of Blue Dot, because remember, big data is what runs the universe, as a matter of fact. Because even you look on small Jamaica, or even the Caribbean collectively on a whole, and this is why his business is such a huge, innovative and new push to this market, is the fact that third world countries data isn't really respected.
Yeah, it is not.
Once
It is
you
not.
are new to the industry, once you are coming with a force like what Blue Dot is doing to get to the market, which you're probably going to talk about. Try to squeeze it, but, you know, try to squeeze him, although I know, you know, I'm not going probably come to it now. You know. Well, anyway, because the company is just too big not to, you know.
Yeah.
But anyways, when we look on data and where it can take us as, you know, consumers. Massive.
Massive. So,
Massive.
so what are your plans for expansion throughout the Caribbean or the world in general?
So we're at the point now where we have a lot of data, right? So we've collected so much data now that we can predict behavior,
Yeah.
right? So we want to package that for sale. So we're building out the e-commerce site now where if a company wants to enter the water market, which this company, this brand that's off the label, they're one of our clients, and we would have tested like the label for them. You know, if a company wants to start a water company, they'll be able to go on the site and get data on the market share and the market size, and that's exactly how to position their company. You know, so
Or whether
like,
to stay out of it.
or whether to yes, you'll be able to make informed decisions. You know, in Jamaica and the Caribbean, we have a culture of making gut-based decisions. So, you know, you start in a company and you ask your friend, yo, what do you think about this? You know, do you like this logo or whatever? But it's, you know, because the cost of research has been so expensive, you know, a lot of people just can't afford it, or they just don't know that they need to be doing some type of market research. So our mission statement is to change the way the Caribbean uses and thinks about data.
Yeah.
That's innovative.
And so that's like our North Star. So everything that we do now is like towards that mission of democratizing data and giving companies and public and private sector access to data to make decisions.
Okay. So let me ask a question. And this is a specific question. Your focus is mostly on corporate, or your focus is mostly on consumer? Which one would you say it is?
So it's both. The polling, the election thing happens once a year. I don't like politics. We just do it for PR, to be frank.
Yeah.
But it's corporate, so we have a lot of corporate clients. You know, very grateful that we've worked with a lot of the largest companies in the region, and we do a lot of work for them, and you know, we help them to make very important decisions. But at the end of the day, it's still understanding who the consumers are, and then giving them that information to help them to target their consumers and market to their consumers with insights.
Yeah.
You know.
So speaking of, because your company offer data research, insight, and analysis. So with all of that data you have, I would assume that you have like customer specific contact information as well. So what I really want to ask is, why don't you, or do you, offer marketing to these specific individuals that you have direct contact to? Do you offer ads and stuff like that?
The answer is no, but what we can do is create, you know, lead lists.
Yeah.
Right. Using some technologies. For example, you know, we used to have some tech that uses AI and image recognition. So on a social media page, for example, if somebody takes a picture behind a BMW, then that's a potential client for
a BMW,
for either BMW or for an investment house, right? Like Cap Markets or GK Capital or JMB or whatever. Somebody take a picture with a Red Bull can, then that person is a energy drink consumer and is therefore attracted to like a sports company or another energy drink company.
Yeah.
Right? So things like that, you know, generally creating lead lists for companies.
So speaking on creating lead lists for companies, or the contact information for companies to market to, what are the companies that you currently have? And you don't have to list specific companies, but just the industries. What are some of the industries that you are in currently?
Every industry.
Every industry.
Yeah, there's, you know, like, you know, when I go to the supermarket and I walk down the aisles, I see so many brands that we would have worked with. I watch TV, I see so many brands that when new products are launched, our clients ask us to help them to launch those products by, you know, helping them understand who to target and who the consumers are, you know. And we go even further than that. So, you know, for example, there was a pizza chain that they were considering coming into Jamaica, and they asked us to help them to, you know, understand, you know, who the profile of the consumers are and where to put their stores.
Yeah.
And because we have traffic data, foot traffic data, demographic data, and crime data, and a whole bunch of data, you know, we're able to tell them exactly where to put their stores based on those factors.
Yeah.
They were also particularly interested in, you know, like school children for a particular product that they were offering. So we were able to tell them how many schools were in a particular area, radius, and how many bus routes terminated close to those locations, so that they could know where to put their locations based on that type of data. So that we go it's not just, you know, talking to people, but we have other data that we combine to tell a bigger picture and to help our clients make those types of decisions.
All right, so okay, so that's for the consumer, right? The consumer, the
Well,
clients,
both
the
corporate,
yeah.
yeah.
So, how are you able to actually stay up to date with all of this that's going on? Like, isn't it a lot? Like, how do you do it?
I have a good team.
A good team. So your team does everything.
Yeah, I have
So-
a good team. I'm
so-
not going to take credit for nothing. It's a team.
It's a team. Teamwork make the dream work.
Yeah.
So, okay. So, what are your plans for expansion, though? Expanding your team, your business,
Yeah,
everything.
so right now I need to double my staff. Right. But we in Trinidad, I have a team in Trinidad now. We went to, hopefully I was in Ghana about 5 weeks ago. You know, made some good connections over there. There's a lot of opportunity in Ghana, so definitely going to end up in Ghana at some point, very soon actually. But you know, just expanding across the Caribbean, like I said, you know, the mission is to change the way the Caribbean uses and thinks about data. So, you know, having that as our North Star, that's the goal.
So your focus is only the Caribbean, which is Jamaica and the wider region?
Yeah, well, right now in terms of, you know, core business, I just got back from New York on Monday. Today's Wednesday. On Monday, because we have a client over there that will do some work over there. So, you know, it's wherever the business is, but right now we're service based. We're building products to productize our business. So, you know, when you have a service business and you have a agency type model, you're reactive. So, you know, we wait on our client to say, hey, I need to understand what this consumer is saying. No, we're productizing and ensuring that we have SaaS solutions that anybody anywhere in the world can buy and, you know, pay us our monthly subscription.
Okay, and SaaS solutions, what are some of those? You mind talking to us about them?
I can't disclose specifically, but, you know, we're building tools. Yeah, we're building tools and solutions for companies like us and corporate companies, big corporates.
Tools like, I can't go into specifics of the tools as well. Okay, so
I do some cool shit though.
you do some cool stuff. We're going to talk about that. So if a person, for example, if I had a business and I wanted you to build out a tool for myself and for my business, right? What would be the process of approaching you to do that, and like just the overall process of getting it done?
So we wouldn't build a tool per se, because you know the development is for internal projects that we have, right?
Yeah.
What we would do is inform the makeup of the tool that you're going to get built. So, you know, from a strategy standpoint, you know, or a user experience standpoint, should it, you know, where should you put the buttons, and, you know, who is the target, you know, because we have eye tracking technology that, you know, we track eye movement in apps and on screens, so we can tell, you know, where people look and what they look at, what they don't look at, and all of that stuff. So, you know, we stick to the core, which is data. So we provide the data to help inform the decision.
So what I wanted to ask you is, speaking on the eye movement situation, that is basically KYC, right?
No, it's different.
Different
This is literally, so when we test like TV commercials for our clients, right? We tell them from a product placement standpoint, are people seeing your branding, which is in the top left-hand corner?
Yeah.
Because we're tracking where people look at in a TV commercial, right? So that's what that eye tracking specifically is for, or on a label. So when we you know, a client is coming out with a new label, we tell them we have eye tracking goggles. So like when you walk down a supermarket aisle, we can tell, are people seeing your branding and your packaging.
So you're saying that you build out, so is I see that with Blue Dot on the side. So
I was
is it,
wondering.
so is it one of those glasses that
It's similar, but again, I'm just very intentional about building my brand. So like, I try to always be branded. My glasses branded, my bag branded. If I, I just don't put on my car because I just don't want people to.
Okay. So yeah, man. So in terms of branding, as we were saying a while ago, a lot of people, as I was telling you before, would not feel that spending money on marketing and branding is important. You should spend money on paying staff and just the overheads to keep the business running. So what are your thoughts on that, and what are your advice for persons listening?
So I built my brand the guerrilla way, like I said. I did everything to just get the brand out there, without compromising ethics and morals and whatnot, right? So, establishing, the company as leaders in the space. So, just writing articles in the paper, going to events. Like I said, I go into every single event that I could or can and just pitch, get the brand out there. We've never spent money on advertising.
Never ever.
Solely networking.
Yeah, just networking and doing good work. Like if you do good work, the word spreads. Just do good quality work and stay humble with it.
Okay, so but what about the person that? All right, so I spoke about a person who might not believe that branding is very important. But what about the person who has the money and say, hey, I'm going to put as much money in branding as possible? What are
billboards are out there? They're out there now.
It's out there.
Barbican.
Yeah. Oh, you got a blue dot billboard in Barbican right now?
Yeah, and on the highway.
Okay. So what are your thoughts on, or what are your advice to those persons who are willing to spend that money on it? Like, what are the things that they can actually expect as well?
Be targeted with it. Like people like do a lot of broadcasts, right? My company is straight B2B, so that was the focus initially.
Yeah.
So
business to business.
Yeah, business to business. So I wouldn't have done like let's say I add on radio. No disrespect to radio. Because people who wouldn't be my clients would be listening to that, and it's not targeted.
Yeah.
So going to networking events and talking to people and meeting people, going to CPG, like I said, or just going where I feel like people are going to be. That was what I did for marketing. But if you're going to spend money on ads, then just make sure that it's targeted to where your clients are, potential clients are going to be.
And then if you want to know where your clients are, come to Blue Dot, right? So what are some of your plans for this year, for next year, the years to come, the next 10 year? What is your next 10-year plan? Do you have one?
No.
No.
I don't think you can. I don't believe in
Planning that far ahead.
Yeah, especially if you're in tech, right? Like I had plans for this year, and AI just come and wipe them out. I don't even know what my plan is now. Like my plan right now is just to not get disrupted.
Yeah.
And that's what that's my focus right now, not getting disrupted. I actually met with my team, this week, and I said our mission for the next couple of weeks is to disrupt ourselves first.
Yeah.
And that's what we're doing. We have to disrupt ourselves.
And disrupt yourself in terms of?
Ensuring that some two look youth up at UA who understand AI more than me, not going to create some tool that going wipe me out, because that's my fear. Like,
So basically a fear of the next Mark Zuckerberg emerging out of UA and come wipe
or wherever. Like my constant fear is that two look youth in some room somewhere is going to come and disrupt me.
So, but why not if that does happen, why not just employ them to work with you, to work with Blue Dot?
If I can afford them, I'd buy them, right? But you just don't know. Like I just don't know what's going to happen. So I spend several hours a day reading up on what's happening and what's coming, and always just like strategizing and like trying to play chess with it, like what's the next move, what's coming down the road. I go to a lot of conferences, so like I'm going to India to a big conference in a couple of weeks, just to like see what's over there. That's important actually. That's one thing I'd actually tell people to do, like
Always ensure you stay.
Go to some conferences and see what's out there.
All right. So on the topic of advising people, right? What are some pieces of advice that you would give to young entrepreneurs that are trying to make it, well, particularly in the tech field, rather? What are some pieces of advice you'd give to them?
My first advice to budding entrepreneurs is stay in your 9 to 5, don't start a business.
What?
All right, so for confirmation, you said your advice to entrepreneurs is
Don't. That's my first advice. Don't.
And why is that though?
It's too hard.
So, all right, rather, let's rephrase.
Every week I'm tempted to call up my old boss because me and him good. Please just give me back the liquor work. It's hard. It's hard.
All right, so to rephrase.
If you don't have, all right, let me quantify. Quantify.
Yeah.
If you don't have,
Yeah.
if you don't have the grit,
Yeah.
Because it takes a lot.
if you don't have the grit, don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Being an entrepreneur is like having 1,000 pounds on your foot and being put in the middle of the ocean and saying swim.
Yeah.
That's what being an entrepreneur is. So
Yeah.
you really have to want it, and you have to really fight for what you want.
Because everything is on you.
Everything's on you.
Bro, if I can show you my phone at 2:58 this morning, I'm up because I'm like stressed out and thinking, and like my brethren is also watching or message me and say, yo, I can't sleep, and my response was, I'm gonna tell you, bro, because it's just so like just don't sleep. I am tired of people telling me that I look tired.
Yeah. How do you manage your personal life and your business life? Is there like a separation, or is it just one?
No, there's no separation.
No separation. So do you ever feel like you're burning yourself out?
For sure.
For sure.
Burnt out.
You're burnt out.
I go for therapy.
So you go to therapy.
Yeah.
So what?
And I started riding saved my life.
Riding to your life.
Cycling.
Cycling, yeah.
Cycling. So what is your advice to persons who might, I've already started. They're not they're already on their journey. So what would your advice be to a person who might feel like they're burning out, or might feel like they're not going to make it, or it's not working out at the time for them? What would your advice be for them?
You have to remember your why.
Yeah.
Right? My why is that my parents getting older, I don't have no degree, can't go work at Burger King. And
No disrespect to Burger King people, because we need the fries.
And I went through the struggle life for too long and put so much into Blue Dot that I just can't feel.
Yeah.
So it was a case of, say everything is on you, your life is up to you, and you have nothing to fall back on. So it's just it's a case of you're going through hell while stopping hell.
No, I'm going to tell you, bro, like enough time, I feel like giving up weekly. Yeah.
As much as you're a CEO successful, you still have that feling of, so it's not all glitz and glamour when you say a CEO then.
So what would you consider to be your secret to your success? Like, I know you say you felt like giving up sometimes, but you didn't, and you're here right now, and a lot of, honestly, even me, like sometimes I don't even know if it is to say I felt like giving up, or sometimes I'm looking at so much negative things happening. I'm like, this makes sense, It's like I feel like every CEO has had that experience.
I can give you an example, right? 2 Fridays ago, I had to reach out to one of my closest friends who's also a successful businessman, and just vented, right? So the man heard it in my voice and came over to the house and talked me off of the ledge pretty much, right?
Yeah.
So this was 2 Fridays ago, right? Spent an hour, the man taught me, let's say, you can't give up, blah, blah, right? So that's important. Good friends who understand the struggle, right?
Yeah.
Literally the following Friday, I was over at his house doing the same thing.
So it's like what you mentioned earlier, the reverse mentorship.
Well, you could call it that, but when you have so ambition is a weight.
Yeah.
That is so true.
Ambition is a weight,
So
and like once you're pressing and like you're trying to do all of these things, it is just hard. And then there is the classic disease that we have in Jamaica. This 100% non-GMO bad mind in Jamaica. That you can't go around it.
I know it's a hell of a thing when sometimes that same bad mind, the negative energy, because I believe in things like that, especially in the field we're in and starting out in, because Chavez as a forex trader, I'm a forex trader as well. I'm starting out in that. I believe heavily that negative energy, well, if you let it affects you.
For sure.
Right? So, and it's a hell of a thing when you have that negative energy coming from people you'd never expected. When it's coming from like family, you turn to even your cousin or your brother, and you try, same like when you vent to your brethren, them not understand it, and it's just deep down inside them want to tell you, just stop where you want to go. Go like KFC. You see it, but said that is not where you see yourself.
But also fundamentally, nobody cares. Move on. Nobody gives a shit.
So, what is the one key advice that you'd actually leave with our viewers on their journey, whether they're starting, whether they already have something going, if they feel like giving up? What is the key advice you'd give to somebody?
The same thing, the why. Like, remember your why.
Remember your why.
What is your why? Like, why your employees are stressing you out, your clients are stressing you out, you don't have no money, cash flow is a problem, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, why? What is your why? Like, why continue? And I try to keep things as real as possible. I have to remind myself of that almost every day.
Yeah. So where can our viewers learn more about Blue Dot Data Research and Insight?
So I mean, we're everything on social media at Blue Dot Insights. People know me as Manish Water.
That's it. That's a social media. What's the reason for that?
I was just going to ask where you get that from.
That what's the reason for that though?
It's for the ladies.
Okay, so you have a website, you have
Instagram.
Yeah, man.
What's your website?
It's blue.insights.com.
Blue dot BLUE dot
BLUE.dot.
and you have an Instagram and
man, blue.insights.
And you have a personal page as well.
Yeah, my personal page is Manish.
Okay. So if somebody wanted to, for example, a viewer wanted probably a job or wanted to run an idea by you, that next Mark Zuckerberg or Elon Musk wanted to run an idea by you, they can just, what is the process of reaching out to you?
So I actually pride myself in, if you look on my calendar and calculate it, 10 to 20% of my time I spend giving back. Right?
Yeah.
That's very important to know. So like on Twitter, like if you look at my inbox, whole heap of people that message me and say, yo, can you give me some advice? Whatever. So like my EA knows that she schedules those meetings in.
Mm-hmm.
So, I have probably 2 or 3 of those meetings every week with just some random person who just message me and say them
like a pitch deck.
Yeah, so like I look at a pitch deck for them, or I just just give just some general advice and I try to just coach people.
I respect that. I respect big and powerful people per se who do that a lot.
I'm not big and powerful, bro.
You know what I mean? I respect.
I hope to get there. I hope to get to Chavez level.
I respect him a lot for it too.
And David,
Yeah,
I see you like cars. I see you like cars too.
Yeah, but I was telling David earlier that, so I was selling my car now because I bought a house up in Garden Town and the road to get there kind of rocky, right?
Yeah.
But I also feel like we suffer from, I don't know time is up right, but we suffer from what I call niggonomics. Right?
Yeah.
Which is, when the first thing I did when I make money, I bought a Audi.
Yeah.
The first thing.
But that's the thing, everybody's like, I need to.
No sense.
Yeah.
Don't make no sense. Like the other day, I'm going to buy this pair of shoes, and after I bought it, I don't even tell you how much it cost. After I bought it, I was like, this don't make no sense. It's just not. It just don't make no sense.
I feel like the man is talking to me. I feel like he's. talking to me. So what are some of the things that you're interested in? What are some of your hobbies and just some
Like I
personal
said,
stuff?
Like I ride, I like riding. That's very important for mental health. But
Yeah.
I am a part of organizations that give back. So like the big thing I'm on now is Project Star, because I tell myself, if I ever migrate, I want to look back and say that I tried to change Jamaica. You know? So crime is something that I'm passionate about. I'm on the board of Crime Stop. Project Star is a big social transformation initiative. So we're going into communities and like really providing services, jobs, everything for the underprivileged youth and those communities on a whole. And I give a lot of time to that, and I'm very passionate about it. So that's my thing. I don't want to have to migrate, but if I do ever migrate, I can look back and say I tried.
Yeah, tried, man. And so thanks for being a part of this podcast with us
Man,
today.
thank you.
We're looking forward to another one, another big
Honestly.
one. Yeah, it was a good vibe. So thanks for being a part of this.
Respect.
Yeah, man.
Thank you.
David, you had any questions for him?
You guys took all my questions. Not very long.
Yeah, man.
But I was so in tune. Couldn't even jump in. You guys just have the right hits vibe.
We have another one for him, Another one. But respect again for being a part of this. Alright. So viewers, this was Larren Peart, the Blue Dot boss. Once again, winners win. Y'all know the vibe. Super blessed.
Winners win.
Super rich.
Winners
Super
win
rich.
always.
Yeah.